So, welcome to Coffee with Groomers. No, Coffee Break with Groomers.
Yeah.
So, I always come up with these crazy ideas of different videos and silly ideas that we can make. My latest idea, which I think is actually pretty cool, because Amelia and I come in here quite often. Actually, first, let me introduce ourselves first. So, otherwise, this is silly.
Welcome to ADHD.
Possibly undiagnosed. My name's Alistair. I'm the owner of the Tetbury Pet Shop and Grooming. Jordan?
Hey, I'm Jordan. I'm the manager of the Groom Room.
And Jessie?
I'm Jessie. I'm just a stylist.
Stylist? You're not just a stylist.
Oh,
Stylist.
yeah, that is fancy.
for you.
That's
Canine
pretty cool.
beautician.
Yeah, maybe we can rebrand you on the website as stylist.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Make a
Yeah.
note of that and probably forget.
So smart.
So yeah, Coffee with Groomers. I think it's really interesting how whenever myself or Amelia come up here, we always learn something from you guys. And actually, there's the customers meet you in a professional sense. We know you in a work sense, but actually there's like a whole other frame where we're just chatting. And actually, I think that's quite cool. Like learning a lot from each other, and we wouldn't be able to share it with other people. I think other groomers would be quite interested because they have similar conversations with their other staff and customers and whatever. But I think it's quite an interesting concept. So first of all, let's introduce who we actually are, why you started grooming, how you started grooming.
Oh God.
Are you glad you still started grooming? I'll go first. So we started the pet shop 2.5 years ago. We never knew about grooming, first of all. This was never something that we were planning to do. We had a treat business before, and we wanted to create a concept pet shop. I think it was a couple of months after opening. You popped in and said, "Oh, you."
Yes, yeah. Raby was tiny,
Yeah.
and your black Labrador definitely lulled me in. Yeah, I just remember seeing you on Facebook everywhere, and it's like, oh, we're opening a pet shop. And I was like, oh, in Tetbury.
Yeah.
Sweet. I was like, let's pop in to say hi.
Yeah, and then this room was just like a complete mess. It was like horrible lining flooring. It's got the lovely charm of Cotswold sloped floor, which we've retained that just to kind of maintain that.
Yeah, we had to level the benches and.
Yeah, which is all fine. But yeah, so Jordan, introduce yourself. How long have you been grooming for? Why you started grooming?
God.
Are you glad you still grooming?
Some days. So I've been grooming for, I'll say 10 years. It's about 10 years, give or take. I first started getting into grooming when I worked at kennels, and my old boss used to show Japanese spits. So she'd get me in the groom room to bath the puppies, get the dogs ready for showing, that kind of thing. And then I just slowly moved up to groom other breeds of dogs. And after I left there, I quite missed it. It's just fun. You get, an hour, 2 hours, sometimes 4 hours with one-to-one attention on a dog. You get to know them really well. You get to notice things in their coats, like how they move. Like there is so much into dog grooming other than just cutting hair. Like you're constantly like, what does this mean? Or they've got a different pattern going down their hair. What does that mean? And you get to meet some really lovely people. Like the owners are the sweetest, and seeing the way that owners, when they come back to see their dogs and they're all happy.
Most owners are sweet. There are lots of owners which aren't sweet.
That is fine. Absolutely, yeah. Tetbury's really good, by the way.
not that we have any bad customers, but like people touch with. Don't come if you're going to be a bad customer. Or do.
Yeah, spend those money. It's cool.
You're dealing with people and with dogs, so I always compare it to like cutting hair, stylist. You're just dealing with a person, you can kind of communicate with them. A dog has literally no say.
No.
So you're relying on whatever the owner wants and then taking that guidance. And then you're also, because you're experienced with animals, like someone might say, I want my dog to be all fluffy and cute, but actually it's just not possible sometimes.
Yeah.
And not necessarily the best thing for the dog. So you've kind of got that challenge of working with the people and then also doing the thing which is right for the dog.
Yeah, it's a really fine line.
Yeah.
It is very difficult sometimes, and sometimes you'll get it where the husband will be like, I like them really short, my wife likes them really long. And the best way to solve the problem is you just ask who's picking the dog up. If the wife's picking the dog up, they can have it long. If the husband is short, just don't get in trouble. But yeah, it also depends on the coat and all the other fun stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Jessie?
Me. Been grooming for, I'd probably say just over 10 years now.
What made you want to start grooming? Was it an accident or like?
Well,
it seemed like an accident, not an accident for you, but just kind of
Just happened.
happened.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do
Yeah.
after I left school,
Mhm.
and I've always been a little bit creative, and my mum suggested maybe being a hairdresser.
Yeah.
but I'm not so keen on the people side of it. So looked into dog grooming.
Yeah.
Got my apprenticeship.
Yeah.
And then never looked back since.
Yeah, I think that's probably a quite common thing with anyone working in pets. Not that they dislike people, but they just like animals more than people.
Yeah,
which I think
is fair.
Yeah, and it's rewarding as well because dogs are always happy to see you, so it's always pleasing.
Yeah, but cute
Yeah.
as well. Way cuter.
So
Even the bitey ones.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add in one of your things. You got awarded the best groomer in the Southwest.
Yeah.
You,
Pets at home.
you need to shout about that.
I don't know.
Like, that's insane. I don't think we even found that out when we first met you.
No,
I think I found it later on in your CV and
it's not.
maybe you mentioned it.
I don't even think I have I got a big glass certificate. Not certificate.
Wait,
Trophy.
so you don't-
Yeah, no. But I've no idea where it went.
So maybe you
Yeah.
didn't get up. Maybe you're lying to us.
Yeah, maybe. No, you'll never know, will you?
Okay, so that's kind of covered. Thank you for explaining that. So for anyone who doesn't really know what dog grooming is, like what's the main thing you're trying to achieve? Other than just styling and making a dog look great. Welfare, yeah.
Welfare and maintenance,
Yeah.
I would probably say. Nails, paw pads, making sure like eyes are clear and all that kind of stuff.
Do you think people are aware they need to be looking for those things or not?
Yes and no. It depends on the owner.
Okay.
Like if you have experienced owners, then yeah, or you get the owners that research to the high heavens.
Yeah.
You know, occasionally you'll get people that have always had short-coated dogs, and then they'll get a long-coated dog, and all of a sudden they're like, why is this dog taking way more effort than my other dogs? It's just educating. Like sometimes there's just a gap in the market, isn't there, from breeders that maybe aren't totally upfront with owners about how much maintenance dogs need.
The breeders aren't telling people?
Occasionally, yeah. Like one of the most common comments we get for typically poodle crosses or the wool coated is they'll all of a sudden come in when they're about 9 months to a year old.
Yeah.
And the people go, oh, the breeder said not to get their hair cut till a year old. And a lot of people take that as do not touch their hair with anything until they're a year old and they're a matted mess.
Yeah.
And their first interaction is being shaved down to the skin to get the matting off.
Which is not a good experience.
No, and it's quite a shock for the owner too. Like we get it, like we understand why people might get a bit.
Yeah.
What's happened to my dog? You get so used to seeing this big fluffy creature.
Which is what they wanted, I guess. They wanted that breed because it's hyper. I get confused with hyperallergenic. There's things a lot of meanings of it, but essentially the hair doesn't just fall out.
Yeah, like allegedly it's not the hair's not meant to mold.
So
sometimes
allegedly.
it does though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It depends on the whole. I don't understand the F1s and 2s and 10s.
It depends on like. I think it just depends on who they're being bred with anyway as well. Because you get some Labradoodles that are meant to be hyperallergenic, and some of them shed more than
Really?
than Labradors and
some
stuff
of them
like
are
that.
wire-coated. Some of them you can hand strip. Like you can't hand strip a Labrador or a poodle.
No. It's just that mix, that breed, and that's creating that different kind of thing, which people don't know essentially that they're signing up to, because it's, like you said, it's welfare.
Yeah, like the whole definition of dog grooming is that we're meant to, what is it? It's something like we're solely for the welfare. We're meant to maintain a style and put their welfare above everything else.
Yeah.
Which means thousands of things. It means making sure the nails don't touch the floor when they're standing, because as soon as a nail applies pressure, like it would just be holding the feet up all the time, which can create arthritis, pain, discomfort.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can just be making sure that all the undercoat's out so their coat can regulate. Keeping an eye generally on their whole external image of the dog, like whether it's teeth, ears, like eye bogies, like it's literally anything. Like, we've seen it with eye bogies when they're caked on so bad that like literally you will gently remove it in the bath, and it does take a bit of trying to get it out, doesn't it? And the poor things will just have these whole sore patches. Like we've seen it all down the sides of dogs' faces.
Yeah.
People just sometimes they don't know, or they're busy, or there's a whole reason I think why it happens.
Yeah.
And I guess all these things are just quite naturally occurring, but it's that welfare check. I guess it is a welfare check, because like when else would a dog get to go and see someone quite regularly and just see all those things happening? Because as an owner, I don't know what I'm looking for, and I'll come to you guys and be like, oh my god, Roby's itching her ears a lot, so what's wrong? I have no idea. And you guys are seeing these things so often, and actually having those regular appointments, you're seeing these things often, so it's more than just making a dog look amazing, which you do anyway. That's a bonus, but that continual check is really important.
Yeah, and you know, like we find it, don't we? If I bring Riley in, you say, oh, like his bum's massive, like which I don't notice. Like, that's the first thing that comes to my head. George's got the biggest butt on him. Or like with Nala, like I'll say, yeah, do you always comment
So
on
muscly.
Muscly.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be like his.
I really want to get one. I really want to
He
get
does
one
have a
of those
big hole
like.
as well. You know?
I want to get one of those like belly dancer skirts to put on him and really wags his tail and be like shaking all over the place. Play some Shakira and stuff in the background.
This is a real life
I
thing.
love
I mean.
that. Yeah, great.
But like if you're with a dog every day, sometimes you don't notice the little things. You know, whether they're putting on a bit of weight, whether their nails are growing too fast, or there's so many different things: lumps, bumps, moles, the whole shebang of things. But we see them every 4 to 8 weeks, sometimes a bit longer. And because the dogs aren't here, we have full access to them. We do start to notice like little bits of lumps forming, like glands. When we've got the blaster and it separates their coat, we can see if their skin's itchy, dandruffy. They've got boils, warts, fleas, ticks, mites, the whole
Everything.
We see
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't lie to us.
What do you think there's, I think chatting to readers, like the common misconceptions, like people have an expectation of what you're going to do. What do you think people don't realise that you actually have to deal with? Like, I mean, obviously dogs have teeth, dogs have claws. Dogs don't know who you are, first of all. They're probably, like you said, if they've not been groomed for a year or they've never been groomed before, like coming into a new environment without their owner, standing on the table, going to the bath, it's like, it's quite a lot to it.
Yeah, it's terrifying. I wouldn't like it if I got dropped off with a stranger in a strange place and they insist on trying to lift all my limbs and, you know, drown me in the bath, or, you know, I'd get annoyed.
I think it's important though to kind of see that and like respect it. I think that's very much our thing. It's like we agree, especially like the naughty ones as well. I think because we know if we were if we were dogs, it's like if we were dogs and I was being groomed, I would be one of the naughty ones. You'd touch my feet and it would not go well. So we completely understand it from the dog's point of view and from an owner's point of view. Like, you're leaving your family member with strangers for a good couple of hours as well, so there's a lot of trust involved.
And that's a hard balance as well. It's like sometimes dogs don't want to come to the groomers, like because they don't want to leave their parents, which is fair enough. And it's like, I think you guys are really good at this. It's like reassuring that do we say owner or parents?
We use both.
Okay, both. Parents. They'd always be worried, like, oh no, like the dog's going to be like really scared when it's going in or something, and they're like, oh, what? Maybe you're being really mean to it, but that's just not the case. If you take a step back and kind of break it down, that's not what's happening.
Yeah, and like, you know, especially like we saw it so much after COVID because dogs were so used to their owners literally being with them 24/7. Like when we came out of COVID, like there was such a movement in the grooming world, wasn't there? Like 9 out of 10 of the dogs that we'd be grooming had this really awful separation anxiety of like, oh, like their whole world's ending because their owner's gone. And it must have been really scary. Like we still see it now, people that work from home. You don't really think about it, but you don't really leave your dog, especially in new places by themselves for any length of time. You know, you don't go to a park, leave them at the park and go away. Even at the vets, you're with them the whole time. So of course it's scary, like, you know. Sounds like Jack Russell?
I would say
Jack
Russell.
Okay, and then so the dog comes up, you're obviously excellent at handling that. What do you think are things that the owners could, or parents or owners could do to help bridge that, kind of make it more of a good experience? Like we offer their consultations and their intros and stuff for the dogs. What else do you think could be good? Essentially to help you by making your job easier, makes the dog's experience better.
I mean, if the owners could groom them themselves, that would be amazing.
I think treating it like kind of like how you would like with your hairdressing appointments or like taking your car in for its MOT and stuff. It's just like we are there to maintain in between. We're not there the entire time. You can't go the 6 weeks without brushing if you have a long haired one, or checking the nails. You might need to have the nails done more regularly depending on where you're walking them. So I think definitely just kind of taking note that it's not the one sort of grooming session and then they're good for like 6 to 8 weeks or however long you'd kind of like to leave it.
So what do you think are the basic things that people could be or should be? doing.
I mean, be realistic with yourself. Do you actually have time to allocate 3 hours a week to grooming your dog at home? Like, do you have time to sit there on the sofa, like meticulously with a spray, a conditioner, a brush, a comb, and go through every like millimetre of your dog to stop them from getting matted? Like, if you have a really long hairy dog and it's winter, after they've come in from a walk and they've been in bogs, mud, all of that, do you then have time to sit down with the dog, bath them, condition them, fully dry them, so there's no risk of them getting colder and having all this trapped coldness on their skin? And if the answer is no, I mean, I can tell you right now, if I had a long-haired dog and I could clip them, they'd be short. I don't have the time. I don't have the patience to sit there and really go through and spend hours a week where I could just be having them nice and short, easy to maintain, and having more time to have fun with them, or take them out to really gross places. And I guess that's one of the questions you really have to ask yourself. Like, yeah, they look cute when they're fluffy. They do. Like, who doesn't want to see a lovely fluffy dog?
Yeah.
But the behind the scenes of it is quite detrimental, isn't it, really, to being an owner and taking it on. And you can get stuff like coats or jumpers so if you're worried about them being cold. If you do have time to maintain a long hairy dog, great.
Yeah.
Do it. Why not? It's fun for us when they come in and they look cute.
So basic things that people, so obviously, I guess it's the same self-care that we take for ourselves as well.
Yeah.
Like that's just a habit, and actually creating that habit for your dog is as important.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the time, what do you think, simple recommendations? Because I know I would be guilty. I probably wouldn't spend 3 hours a week grooming Nairobi.
No,
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm just honest.
I wouldn't. If I didn't have Nana and I had a long-haired dog, I'd be the same as you. It would just be short because easier. Even things with like having a longer beard, it gets in the water bowl, it gets in the food bowl. And it's like where I try and look at it is like if you had a child who had hair down to here, and then all week that they've been running through hedges and going into lakes and stuff like that, you're going to take them home and wash it out and brush it and sort it out. Whereas like if you just left that, by the time you got to 6 weeks, if that was a child's hair,
it'd be a clip off.
It would be.
It's knowing that actually you need to maintain it.
Yeah, and like, just be honest. I'm the last person. If someone said to me, they're like, look, I'll be honest with you, I don't have time for him. I just want it short. Like, I will respect that so much more than someone that's like, oh, I swear I brush them all the time, and the dog comes in and they are like pelted, and you're like,
you can see through that. There's no pretending.
No, because I think like first time we always like to go on a don't judge. We don't know what the situation is.
It's an education, isn't it?
And then when it comes to the second or the third time, if the appointments aren't being booked in regularly and the dog's still coming back in matted, that's when I tend to get a little bit more upset and see it as a little bit more neglectful, as opposed to just not being able to keep on top of it, if that makes sense.
Because I guess lots of people don't know. I say this a lot. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And it's not your fault, but like if you have been told and you've been advised and there is lots of information out there, you don't know that you need to go and search for that information, which is a big problem, I guess. But it's then, once you do know, it's then your responsibility to kind of work with that, or work with you guys to kind of create a plan. And it's not just about making them look nice, it's making sure that
it's comfortable.
Like
the very basic thing is keeping the it's 5 animal freedoms. Keep them free from pain and discomfort. Mats hurt. Imagine someone pulling at your hair all day, all the time. It hurts. It's no wonder where you get it really commonly with matted dogs or pelted coats.
What's pelted coat?
So your matting is basically like spot matting. So say like you've just got a couple of mats in the ears, or you've got like a bulk of mat on their elbow, that kind of thing. Pelting is where the surface of their coat, like all over, will essentially just come off in one piece. Like, we've had clip-offs where it is the top of their head right down to the tip of their tail, and you literally can just peel the coat back.
Whoa.
And I think one of the hardest
how long
things-
would that take? Is that like an extreme thing, or is that literally something after, like, say, 10 weeks or something would start to happen?
So like the worst clip-off I've ever had has taken me an hour just to get the mats out. That's not bathing or doing anything after that. Is literally just trying to work around the knots. And the thing is, I think people like to just kind of say like, oh, could you not just cut around them, or could you not just cut them out? But the thing is when they're stuck to the skin,
Yeah.
You
There's no
can't.
room
There
to
is
work
no way.
with.
You have to get underneath that mat to peel it off.
Yeah.
So yeah, it takes a long time and a lot of skill because obviously flabby skin and all that kind of stuff is a very big danger when
Yeah.
you're trying to clip the mats out.
Hematomas,
Yeah.
I guess it's also quite painful for the dog as well. Like
Yeah.
getting shaved close to your face.
Yeah.
Well, not your face, your
Yeah.
body. It can't be a nice experience either.
Yeah, and you have to keep an eye on like your blade temperature because the blades are working in overdrive, so they get really hot really quick. And then because you're going so close to skin, you have to be so careful. As soon as that blade gets too hot, they can get clipper rash, clipper burns.
Yeah.
The other thing that can happen is once you take the coat off, then you can see bruising underneath, where especially if it's like a paler coated dog and they have quite pale skin.
Yeah.
We've had it before where we've had like rescue dogs in and you've clipped off their side and they just have patches of these great big bruises coming through, and it's just where it's been pulling on their skin for so long.
Yeah.
You know, you do have to be really careful. Like, you know,
I find that they normally get full of beans as well.
Yeah.
Because remember we had a
Afterwards.
we had a little Bichon once, and she used to come in. She came in once, and she was really slow and really sad, and it wasn't like her at all. And then once I'd got all the mats clipped off, she was pinging around. She was
Really?
going for it. Yeah, so it really does affect their mentality.
You're being interrupted. The dog here.
sweet.
Cool. We'll resume this. Well, that was a quick intro of meeting you guys. We're going into that's like the health. I'd say that's the health element we just covered.
Yeah.
Yep.
How was that as an experience, just talking like that? I did feel the camera initially was a bit scary.
It was scary at first.
Yeah.
It's alright.
Yeah, you just kind of looked at me like, reassure me, Jessie. I was like, I can do it.
You can do it.
Yeah.
Cool. So what we're going to do is that whenever we have any space, we're going to see if we can just have, I don't know how long that was, but we'll have a look in the clock
20
afterwards,
minutes?
and you'll see how long it was. Let's just have a chat every now and then. What we're going to do is we're going to put this on Spotify, so it's going to be a podcast, which is going to be very exciting.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Yeah.
on YouTube as well, and anywhere else that we can put it. But
Cool.
if you guys are happy with that, it's too
Yeah,
late.
sounds good.
Sign up for it now.
Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions at all, write them down below or up above or wherever the questions may be entered. Subscribe. That really does make a huge difference, please. It's nice to know that someone's actually watching this and enjoying it. And subscribing is free. And follow us on Instagram because we are actually working really hard to grow these channels to give you guys more information. We'll explain what our grand plan is in due course. I think I told you. We've both told you. You both know anyway what it is.
I've forgotten.
But yeah, we'll see you guys very, very soon. And thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I nearly clapped. Yeah, we did so good.